Urgot has always been an immobile bruiser, but at least he's probably the only ranged top laner you can play without getting flamed. But I have found a master player who instead plays Assassin Urgot with a lethality build, going for guaranteed one-shots that only require him to hit one ability, and boom, the enemy's dead, as well as having a new tool to immediately jump on enemies and surprise them with some insane damage. And how could we forget some great ultimate snipes? This video is sponsored by Opera GX browser. I've been using Opera GX for months now because it's been made to be perfect for gaming, and use as little of your PC's resources as possible. With some browsers, if you just have them open when you're playing a game, you lose a load of frames. Opera instead has the GX control section, letting you control how much RAM or percentage of your CPU the browser can use. You can still have it open to listen to music or watch a video while you play, but it will never use too much of your PC to do it. Same thing for your internet, it has a network limiter, so you can choose how much bandwidth it is allowed to use, meaning it will never make you lag in-game. If you're sick of the boring default look that browsers have, then Opera GX has a ton of customization options, including changing the UI color, or even using a custom animated wallpaper. You can even get League ones, I've got my boy Ivan. If you ever want a break from League, Opera GX also has GX Corner, a curated list of limited time free games and deals, and it also has a calendar of all the new game releases so you never miss out. Opera GX is also available on mobile. It's the same great browser, but you can also use it to send files, videos, links, or notes between browsers in a single click, and get all of your tabs synced up there as well. GX Corner is also on mobile with deals for mobile games. Give it a try. Download Opera GX for free from the link in the description below. Our player today is named Hilda on the Hill, a Korean master Urgot player whose name was inspired by the cute animated Netflix show. Hilda started playing Urgot in season 10, when he decided he wanted to climb with something that was really unpopular. At the time, in Korea, Urgot was very low play rate after getting a ton of nerfs, some of which were actually accidental by Riot. They accidentally changed his E stun duration in one patch, which ruined the champion. Then it was discovered, and eventually it got fixed. Hilda hit Diamond this season with Urgot, but wanted to take it much higher. In season 11, Stride Breaker was added, and Urgot loved it. The dash was incredible for low mobility champions like him, and the slow meant that enemies were super easy to stay on top of, letting him get a lot more damage off. Bruiser Urgot was the perfect build, but then in patch 11.13, the dash was removed from the item, pretty much killing the item for every champion, so great job with that one, Riot. But especially for Urgot, he now no longer had a great way to reach enemies. Hilda needed a new item. He tried PROWLER'S Claw. It was perfect. Instead of dashing and slowing an enemy as a bruiser, he can now dash directly behind an enemy, cut off their escape, and one-shot them thanks to the increased damage it gave. He created a new high-damage lethality build to fit this one-shotting style, taking it to ranked and shooting up to master tier for the first time. This build is so special because he has managed to create a new playstyle that turns a champion that usually requires health, armor, and magic resist to be useful into a champion with none of these, and still has a ton of success. Not only is this build incredibly unique, it's also incredibly powerful, with absolutely crazy damage that lets you do some really cool tricks, like jumping right behind enemies and following their dashes. He has the mobility of an assassin, the damage of an assassin, and the simple 1v1 kill combo that lets you 100 to 0 any squishy champion, just like any good assassin. In lane at level 1, Urgot takes E. He sits in this bush and waits for the enemy. If you're not doing this strategy in solo queue at the moment, you're missing out on some free LP. It's so common in high elo and instantly gives you an advantage. In almost every game he goes for this play, walking right up to the enemy, auto-attacking with his passive leg damage, then using E to flip them into more of his damage, blocking their escape and chasing them down. Against squishy champions he can even get a kill here. Urgot's early game is already super powerful. At level 2, Urgot takes his W and can once again look for a kill combo. His favourite is the E flash combo, which constantly catches players off guard even in high elo. The reason for this is because enemies need to flash when he presses the E, not after he flashes. By then they're already locked down by the CC and they're dead, so you can only predict it's going to happen. Using W he finishes them off, winning most fights early on. Thanks to these early trades, he is able to either kill the enemy or get them low enough to fully control the minion wave for the rest of the laning phase. Getting enemy potions and health means they cannot walk up and have a normal laning phase, so he can control what they can do. At level 3 he takes his Q and his focus changes to controlling the wave. If enemies walk up too far, he can go for a kill, but most games he is more than happy to wait till level 6. At level 6, Urgot gets his execute. He often bases for a serrated Dirk and then goes back to lane to look for another kill. Enemies at this point have a lot of damage, and Urgot is squishy, so he pokes, going for short trades, then looks for for an E to combo them to death. The most important thing he does in this 1v1 is use ult immediately after he hits his E. It's a guaranteed hit thanks to the CC. It stuns for 1 second, and the cast time of the ultimate is 0.5 seconds, so it's the easiest way to land it since you know exactly where they're going to be standing. Since he buys this early lethality, with this one combo and his passive, his damage is already high enough to one combo enemies, executing them with the ult. His next power spike is at level 9, where he finally has 5 points in his W, which means it no longer costs mana and doesn't have a cooldown. It can be toggled on or off whenever. This unlocks his special high DPS strategy. Our player even drew us a diagram to show how he does it. In trades, if you just have your W turned on, these auto attacks only deal 1/3 of the usual damage. So instead, to maximize damage, he auto attacks 3 times with his W, cancels it to use a normal auto attack, and then reactivates W for 3 more auto attacks, then cancels it again for another auto attack. He keeps cycling through this way for maximum DPS. This is great in 1v1s or on towers to get early plates. This combo can be the difference between getting a kill or having a death in lane. And in top lane, 1 kill means the lane is over. He gets an XP advantage, a full item, and can now kill the enemy over and over again, buying an early Prowler's Claw. Prowler's Claw on Urgot is amazing. Never before have I seen a big bruiser champion move so fast, and cover so much distance. He can even dash forwards with E, flash, and use Prowlers to gap close 3 times onto enemies. They have no way to run from his damage. Thanks to the huge amount of burst the item gives, his passive shotgun knees now do a crazy amount of damage, since they have such good AD scaling. He stays in a side lane going for as many 1v1s as he can get, knowing that if he gets in Prowler's Claw range, the enemy is dead, even using all of his cooldowns just to reach enemies, and then finish them off with auto attacks. Urgot's damage is all about this passive use, and Prowler's Claw instantly repositions you, so you can use the other side of your passive. He takes teleport, so he wants to be split pushing on the opposite side of the map to the objectives, looking to try and get all of the outer towers in the side lane and push him even further ahead in gold. If someone comes to stop him, he can get on them for a free assassination. If not, then he claims the free bonus gold from the tier 2 towers. In mid game, he now groups with his team and begins to teamfight. In teamfights, Lethality Urgot wants to do one thing: get an assassination using his high damage and the execute on his ult, and then land a huge fear onto a group of enemies. If he can do this one thing, then his damage is high enough to just shred through everyone to get an easy ace. It's not like the bruiser version, who has to rely on his team for follow-up when he lands a big fear. Lethality Urgot can do all of the work himself, chasing squishies down and destroying them. These teamfights are high risk, since you're much more squishy with this build, but when done right, the reward is much higher, because you can capitalize on your own ult CC to finish off the other players. Like any assassin, he loves camping in bushes to go for kills, one-shotting enemies by surprise. He stands in Fog of War and starts with his E. If his E lands, his ult is a guaranteed hit, and with your auto attack burst, any squishy champion is going to die. He pushes the side wave in and invades the enemy jungle to set this up. This is surprising to enemies because it's not a play Urgot would normally make, as his damage is not usually high enough to kill an enemy before they can flash away. If Bruiser Urgot went for this, he would probably just get collapsed on and die, but Lethality Urgot can instantly assassinate a player and keep control of that part of the map, threatening anyone else who walks into it. Late game, Urgot is still strong. His main strength is staying grouped up with his team and picking enemies off with his ult, but he can also assassinate important targets in the fight with his E flash combo. He's also the best Urgot I have ever seen at sniping players with his ult. He takes his time aiming this ability, he doesn't rush it, and of course he's had months of practice, which now really pays off. He gave me some very important Lethality Urgot tips from his now thousands of hours of experience. Early on in lane, when you use your E, if it hits, you get a kill almost every time, but if it misses, you're now out of position with no mobility and are easily punished. Wasting this ability is the #1 cause of death in lane for a bad Urgot, but he also has a tip on using it effectively. You can avoid CC with Urgot's E. This ability has 2 parts: the little pause at the start, and then the big dash forwards. If you use the skill at the right time, you can ignore CC and still dash forwards, still getting the distance and the knock-up, letting you guarantee the enemy is still going to die. Even if you E-flash into CC, Urgots can still go through, and his often lasts longer than whatever you're hit by, so he still ends up getting the kill. Urgot's pretty great against invulnerability. Kindred can be pulled out of her ult. Against a Tryndamere, again it's quite easy. Urgot hits his ult and waits for Tryndamere's to run out. Urgot holds his until the very last second and activates it, pulling Tryndamere into him so he cannot escape. One champion destroys Urgot so much that our player put him in his own section in the document he gave me. Teemo, a champion that is now becoming meta in Korean solo queue. He bans every game. Olaf is another really hard matchup since he can use ult to dodge your CC and dodge your combo. For his full assassin build, he starts Doran's Blade every game. Early on, he bases for Serrated Dirk and buys an early pair of plated steel caps to help him win 1v1s and start snowballing. He has specific rules for what else he builds. Prowler's Claw he gets every game. Serpent's Fang is great against shields, along with Edge of Night for more safety in fights. It's really hard to disengage against an Urgot with Prowler's Claw and a spell shield, and he can even buy Guardian Angel for even more survivability and damage. Collector if he wants to kill squishy AD carries. Black Cleaver is great if enemies have tanks, or his I'm depressed because I died so many times in lane build is Anathema's Chains. And lastly, Randuin's if he's against crit damage. For his runes he takes Press the Attack to maximize 1v1 damage, with Demolish to take towers in side lanes easily, and Bone Plating for these early fights. Thanks again to Opera for sponsoring this video, please check them out at the link in the description.